Hey guys, Random Assassin 88 here. Today we're going to be talking about pine trees, its uses, the parts of it, what you can use it for, stuff like that. But it also occurred to me that I'm not sure if I covered this in my last video as to why I got expelled. You guys know how it happened, but I was really upset that day and I wasn't thinking completely straight, so I might have blanked and missed this whole detail. So if I did, I'm going to cover this now. The reason why I did something that stupid, one of the straps on my bandolier came off. I fixed it, sewed it back on, put some gray duct tape on it, but the color scheme of it was black. I knew some teachers had some black duct tape at school, and the time limit for the bus was drawing near, so I just blanked and I just threw it in my bag. That's it. I know it's really stupid. I just wanted to put some black duct tape on my thing, and now I'm expelled. But anyways, back to the pine tree. Excuse me. The pine tree is one of the most useful trees in America and the eastern lowlands in general. Its sap, for instance, can be used for a lot of different things. Here, I have some examples. The sap ages depending on when the wound was made, and by wound I mean any type of cut that you make into it, or say a branch breaks off. The sap is what closes the wound and lets the tree keep living. This is some older sap I collected. It'll be this kind of black at crust, this consistency. Yeah, that's more the older stuff, and this is more, it's not really young, but it's about middle-aged. It's hard, and it's kind of, I'd say it's about as hard as a piece of candy, maybe. But it's this much better, clearer amber color, if you guys can see that. This stuff is a little bit easier to harvest because depending on even the older bits like that, or the fresher, younger sap, which is more runny and clear, this stuff is less sticky than either of those, so you can just pick it off with your hands. But usually just get a stick and just scrape it off. But you can use the sap for all kinds of stuff. You can use it as a fire starter or a fire prolonger. Let's see. You can use it to make soap, chewing gum. While if you really wanted to, you could just grab a relatively fresh piece and just pop it in your mouth as a little bit of chewing gum. But I wouldn't recommend doing too much of that. If you're going to use it as chewing gum, add something else into it to make it more of a chewing gum consistency. But if you really want to, like a very small piece, because it kind of gets stuck to your teeth. Let's see. I think I said so. Yeah. You can use it for wounds. Say you get a cut. You can, depending on the consistency of the sap, if you need to, you can just stuff it in the wound and then dress it from there. Or if you have a lighter or some way to heat it up, it might be a little painful, or depending on where the wound's at. But if you heat up the sap and make it more malleable and press it over the wound, that way it has more coverage. It acts like a Band-Aid, and it has antibacterial and antiseptic properties, so it'll help heal your wound. And let's let's wait. If you mix it with a little bit of charcoal, maybe a little bit of cattail fluff, depending on what you're going to need it for, you can make this. This is just pine pitch glue. This is basically what cavemen and Indians would use to attach their arrowheads to their arrow shafts and their flint blades to their handles. That covers some of the uses that you can use the sap for. Glue, first aid, fire, hygiene. You could melt it down, mix it with a little bit of beeswax to make it into a salve where it's more of a storable medicine for wounds instead of just going out and collecting it when you need it. And I'm actually working on a salve right now. Hopefully it'll turn out all right. Let's see. You can use the bark for shelter if you needed to. You could dig down, take the roots, and use that as cordage. Or just a little bit of natural rope to help build your shelter. The pine needles, you could boil that into a tea. You could drink the tea. That helps boost your immune system, things like that. But say you get a burn or something, you could use the pine needle tea as an exfoliant, and so you could use it as a burn treatment or I guess a skin moisturizer, if you really wanted to. So you can take it internally and apply it externally if you really wanted to. Of course, you could use the pine needles as bedding, or if they're dry and on the ground, you could use it for your fire starter, or if it's in branches, you could use that as your roofing for your shelter. Also with the pine needles, if you're worried about bugs, you can rub it on your skin and it'll help keep the mosquitoes and other insects away. But if you really want to repel them, throw some of these on your fire, and the smoke from that will really help keep the bugs away. What? That's just the sap and the outer extremities. But if we go deeper into the tree, we pick away some of this outer bark, where we get to this white stuff in here, the inner bark, which is called cambrium. You can use it for a lot of stuff as well. Just a second here. But this is the cambrium, the inner bark of the tree. You got the outer bark, you got the cambrium, which is the inner bark, and then the wood itself. It's kind of got like a, I don't know, kind of a a texture between meat and a mushroom. But you could take this, you could boil it in some water to make a drink. Like say you catch something and you really need to hack up the mucus or whatever. Boiling this cambrium in water and drinking that will help you be able to cough up and hack up that mucus, so you can get better and get back into the field. But while I haven't done it personally, apparently you can turn this into a flour. I don't really know how you do that. I guess you just gather a bit, you let it dry, and then you grind it into a powder, and you throw some water into it, and I don't know. But if you really wanted to, you can make pancakes out of a pine tree. Or you could just eat it as is. It's not very tasty. Or easy to chew, for that matter. But if you really needed some nutrients and some carbohydrates when you're out in the field, could very well keep you alive. It's kind of a bland taste. It's really hard to describe. And it's super chewy, like super chewy. But you can eat it if you really needed to. So it could keep you alive. I covered the needles, the bark, the roots, the cambrium, the sap. Another way to get a fire starter off of this, fat wood. Basically, once you find a pine tree with dead branches attached to it, take your saw or your knife or whatever and saw as close to the trunk of the tree as you can, and you'll be able to tell, because the bit of wood that you pull off, it's got it's really like deep red to it, and when you smell it, it's got a really heavy turpentine taste. Really heavy turpentine smell, and that's when you'll know that you got your fat wood. Just split that down, take a little strip off, make some shavings, then get out your striker, send some strikes into that, boom, that's your fire starter. Or you could just use the pine sap as a flame extender. But do be careful with the pine sap. It is extremely flammable, like extremely flammable. So if you're making any type of glue or salve with it, personally I recommend using a hot plate or a very small gas camping stove. Or if you're going to do it over a campfire, do it on the coals. Do not Do not do it on the campfire itself, because this stuff is extremely flammable. Like, I call it nature's napalm. You get a ball of pine sap about the size of a golf ball, and you light it on fire, it's going to burn just by itself for easily a dozen minutes. Easily. So, be very careful with it. Even if you don't catch it on fire, once it's running, try not to spill it on yourself, because depending on how hot it is, it can definitely leave blisters, and trust me, those aren't fun. But other than that, I think that's about it. But I want you guys to let me know, what kind of videos would you guys like to see? More videos about plants and their uses. Just basic survival knowledge type of stuff. Maybe some solo overnight camping trips. Maybe some parkour videos. I just got a Sims card for my GoPro, so once I figure that thing out, maybe I can do the first person POV videos. Let you guys see what you guys think about that. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'm thinking I'm probably going to do some other videos like this, but you guys let me know what you would like to see. That's it, I guess. Peace out. Stay random. All that.